Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Right. I don't know what time it is for you. It is... I don't have a watch. It is 5:34 in the PM. And today is GMMK Pro Day, but I didn't make a video because I had a lot of stuff to do and I just wasn't really in the place to make it. I might still make the video, but I think I kind of don't want to right now. It's a bit more in depth than that, but yeah, we got the boy, the glorious GMMK Pro mechanical keyboard. So we have that there. I do have a lot of thoughts on it. I think it's a very important release as far as somewhat custom mechanical keyboards go. So I want to just go through and see what everyone's made on it. I feel like it's much easier for me to just add upon what they're already going to be talking about it, rather than make a whole new video. And yeah, we can have a little chat. I can answer any questions you guys have about the board specifically that you didn't get answered in other videos or that you want to know hands-on. And yeah, that's what we're going to do. So starting off, we are going to watch... Whose video are we going to watch first? Right, we are going to watch Teha, Bad Seed, Alex Zotos, and Random Frank P's videos. And we are going to enjoy them together. Right. Let me set this up. Okay. Right. Let me not break my OBS. Right. Okay, we're ready. Get your popcorn, lads. Get your popcorn.
Review at least 4 times. So I think I've rewritten this review at least 4 times. So Gloria shipped the largest review package I have ever received in the history of the channel. It's way ever received in the history of the channel.
I didn't get that. I did not get that. I got... What did I get? I got the board in black. I got Geez, the chat is going way too fast. I can't we turn the volume down a notch. I can't keep up with everyone. Yeah, I got the board, I got some GPPT keycaps, and I got their switch puller, and I already had Glorious Pandas, so that's what I have. But yeah, they really did some people.
It's way too much to cover in one video. The original draft of this video was over 25 minutes long. So here's how it's going down. You put up your $169.99 US, and in exchange, you get the stock bare bones GMMK Pro experience. Is that the move? Then I'll cover options, add-ons, and accessories in a separate follow-up video because there is a lot to unpack there. You ready? Let's go!
Let's go. Okay.
Priced at $169.99, the GMMK Pro comes in either slate black or ice white, which is actually silver, and it comes as a fully assembled bare bones kit. So you don't have to do anything to it out of the box to get it ready to go, but it's on you to provide switch.
Oh wait, sorry. Let me turn it down in my mix so I don't blow my ears out. Ooh, okay.
And keycaps.
There you
it's
go.
currently only available in ANSI, but the official word from Glorious is that ISO will be supported in the future. I do want to mention too, before we really dive in here, that Glorious got these out to reviewers way in advance. I've personally had my hands on this thing for weeks, so
Not
this is
me.
not like a hot take or a first look or whatever you want to call it. We've got a 75% layout here. That's 83 keys in all, so you get to keep a physical function row up top, plus your arrows with blocking as well.
Is the volume still really low for you guys? Let me turn it up a bit more. Because for me, it's like really loud.
a 4-key column on the far right, and a rotary knob with click functionality. The knob is a textured aluminum outer with a plastic internal hub, has a light tactile feel to it on rotation, and handles media controls by default. The case is a monster. I mean, it's heavy as at like 3.3 pounds or all.
I wouldn't say it's not like. I wouldn't say it's not heavy. Like 3.5, 4 pounds is like a lot, and it definitely has a good heft in your hands. Like this isn't something you can just like. I know I said it's not something you can just throw about, and I'm throwing it about, but like it's got good heft to it. You won't feel like this is just like some kind of cheapo. Like it doesn't feel like your plastic ducky keyboard, but heavy. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't quite say that. Oh, all right. Let's continue this.
Almost 1,500 grams. It has a footprint that's really not that much larger than a 65%. It's CNC machined aluminum with a giant glorious engraved across the back. The finish on the case is really clean, smooth, no blemishes, angles are clean, sharp, no flip down feet. You get a 6-degree typing angle that works great with a wrist rest. The height of the case versus the keycap profile does show the edges of the switches. The plate is super tough too. I've swapped switches out probably like 7 times in this board, and aside from some paint rubbing off their switch puller, which wipes right off, plate still looks solid. The PCB is hot swap. It accommodates 5-pin switches.
All right, let's go back.
Grams. It has a footprint that's really not that much larger than a 65%. It's CNC machined aluminum with a giant glorious engraved across the back. The finish on the case is really clean, smooth, like, no blemishes, angles are clean, sharp, no flip down feet. You get a 6-degree typing angle that works great with a wrist rest. The height of the case versus the keycap profile does show the edges of the switches. The plate is super tough too. I've swapped switches out probably like 7 times in this board, and aside from some paint rubbing off their switch puller, which wipes right off, plate still looks solid. The PCB is hot swap. It accommodates 5-pin switches. These hot swap sockets are actually Glorious branded, and they're installed in such a way that some of the branding is right side up and the others are not. It's just kind of weird. Sockets here are south facing, meaning the LED is on the bottom. This is generally preferred for proper compatibility between certain switches and...
Okay. I saw someone say not true high profile. I disagree. No, it's pretty flush. Like it is.
Cherry profile caps like GMK. The downside to this though is that the LED being on the bottom means that shine through caps are not going to light correctly.
True. Yes. So this is the thing that a lot of people are asking for. So basically with this keyboard you have the LEDs are in the south facing position, so they're down, they're at the bottom. And what that means with cherry profile keycaps especially is that you won't get interference between the top of your switch and the keycap. Like you can get that between keycaps and switches when they're in the north facing position, which makes your switches kind of feel kind of rubbish. It doesn't happen to all of them. Like for example, if you've got extended pole switches like Holy Pandas, that won't really be an issue. But that's something that that's something that a lot of people kind of despise in a lot of pre-builds, because it means that you can't fully use cherry profile keycaps like GMK. So yeah, that's nice.
Nonetheless, you do get per key RGB and these light bars on either side of the case.
The light bars suck. I don't know. People were really positive. Like, all right, let me explain what I mean. So, let me show you. So these things here, right? You basically have an acrylic piece inside the board, and you have an acrylic piece that's flush with the side of the case. But unless I'm doing something wrong, these are so dim. Like, they look cool. I think it's a nice touch and nice flare, but in terms of like seeing it illuminating the side of whatever you're on, it it was quite dim for me. So yeah, it looks cool, but like, yeah, it's, yeah.
They're not bright enough to throw any kind of glow, and interestingly, they function as a caps lock indicator by flashing when caps is enabled. Cable connection here is USB-C, and it's center mounted, like real center too, not off center. It is recessed enough to not show any of the connector, and the case design kind of hides the connection under that top lip as well. So the design here is gasket mount versus tray mount, like we see commonly on like a lot of the Ducky boards, GK stuff, the Drop Carina, etc. Before we get into this, I have to say, at the time of this video, the only other gasket mount board I've used is the Portico. In that review, the effect of the gasket mount really bringing some flex to the typing experience is very obvious. The entire plate PCB assembly really has some plate to it. Opening it up, you'll have the top portion, the lower, and the mated plate and PCB assembly. You need to be careful as that plate assembly has a cable connecting it to the lower part of the case. Comes off easy, but be ready for it so you don't pull it. This is probably a good time too to say that Glorious really does encourage you to open this board. You don't void any warranty or anything opening this up. You still have a 2-year warranty on this thing. Inside, you'll see we have dampening foam in the lower as well as sandwiched in between the plate and the PCB. It's decent foam out of the box, but there will likely be some aftermarket options popping up soon enough. So on the edges of the plate, there are tabs. These tabs sit between the same kind of little dampeners or gaskets, I guess, that we saw on the Portico. The difference here is that this case is really tight when it's all together. So tightly compressed that these dampeners look pretty chewed when I open it up. You can also see that the gaskets in the top section of the case are really flat to the frame. You can really illustrate what's happening here when the case isn't fully assembled, but when you do get the board assembled, there's no perception of that plate PCB assembly floating inside the case. It's like rock solid. Very stiff. Stop it. They also include additional dampeners if you'd like to experiment with adding more pad to the top, but again, it's so...
Yeah, this is probably amongst things what annoyed me the most, and I'll probably get it into more into other people's videos, but like, not only is that foam just whisper thin, it really doesn't seem to be doing much. Like you said, it's so far recessed into the cutout in the plate, and the plate, like the case sandwiches together, it's really tight. So especially with the way it comes pre-built, so the board comes pre-built, obviously not switches and keycaps, whatever, but it comes with everything in there, the case foam, the PCB foam, one gasket on the top and the bottom of the plate, of the case, sorry, and the combination of the plate foam, the case foam, basically the gaskets that are doing nothing, and the tightness of the case, with the stock aluminium plate, this is stiff. Like, this is stiff, and it just kind of baffles me. I think probably one of the bigger things, because you can get it to feel a bit better, but my main gripe that was making it feel like this, because being stiff is not a bad thing, but it kind of felt to me like they were doing the gasket more so for the hype, and it didn't really feel that well implemented. But the case foam especially being in there with how small the cavity is, your PCB and your hot swap sockets are just pressing on that foam, and there's basically, with the stock configuration, there's basically no give. It's very, very stiff. And the same for when you have like a polycarbonate plate. So putting that polycarbonate plate, I was like, okay, you know what, I'll try it in the standard configuration with the foam and whatever. It's stiff as well. And that's not a bad thing, but it kind of, if that's what they were going for in their default thing, I don't see why they didn't go for a different mounting style, and or having a bigger cavity in the case, and or just not putting that foam in there from the start. Because I feel like a lot of people who buy this board are not really going to customize it, so we'll leave in that plate foam and that case foam, and they might be missing out on a typing experience that they might have enjoyed more if they had experimented. So it kind of, I see what they were going with there, but it feels very much just trying to tick a lot of like the meta tick boxes. So not an awful thing, but like, yeah, it is what it is. Right? Can I make out any questions? Oh, Alex, are you here? Hi. Can I make out any questions? Okay, those of you saying should you cancel your reservation? No, don't. wait till we actually get through some videos, because I think that. No, you gotta wait and see what I want to say, but I think it's okay.
So tightly compressed that I don't notice a big effect. So if you're looking at this board for the gasket mount and you're expecting some kind of flex or bounce there, that's not achieved the way this is implemented. The board ships stock with an aluminum plate that's matched to look pretty much identical to the case. There are brass and polycarb options available aftermarket, but they really complicate the discussion, and it's a large task to swap the plates in this board, so we're gonna save that.
Oh, it's such a pain. Oh my headphones. It's such a, like, I've had boards where you have like a brass weight and you have to screw it from the inside and it's like, but like this is, I think what did it for me was all of the corner screws. So you can kind of see it if I circle it on the screen. These corner screws holding the plate and the PCB together. But you have to take like 8 of these off, and then you have to take off the 8 screws on the bottom, and there's some other screws you got to take off, and I forgot to take off the knob, and it just like, it's, hopefully they have a guide, but like it was a bit more than an inconvenience, but once you get it done, you kind of get used to doing it. But yeah.
For the follow-up video, let's talk about these GOAT stabilizers. GOAT, greatest of all time. Why would you do that? The more fitting name would be stabilizers. They're actually
I want to see what else he has to say, but
really better than the stabs included on most pre-built boards, but they flew a little too close to the sun with the marketing on them. These things come lubed liberally with G-Lube, and are still a little rattly, which kind of throws shade not only at the stabs, but also at G-Lube. They are PCB mount, which was the right move, so you can swap them out with some aftermarket stabilizers. Glorious horns that fit may be really tight with Durox stabs. I personally didn't have that issue. C3 Equals and Zeo both work fine as well. I don't have any more grease in-house to test, unfortunately. Bare minimum here, you would want to re-lube the wires with something a little thicker. I would personally replace these. These are going to be close enough, I guess, for the majority of consumers. Definitely not enough to satisfy the enthusiast crowd.
Ugh. Right. Where did we get up to? Right, stabilizers. Stabilizers. Ooh. Okay. Stabilizers. Right, so if you saw my PewDiePie video, then you'll see how much of a... I didn't think it was that hard. People were telling me I went really hard on that. How much it annoys me when companies use... I find it easiest to evaluate something based on the description you've given me. So if you say something is ultra premium, whatever that means, or if you say it adheres to a certain standard and it doesn't, you shoot yourself in the foot in a way you didn't need to do that. You didn't need to call these GOAT stabilizers. Like, it's not like you said they were good or they were decent. You could have just left it at pre-clipped and lubed, because that would have been accurate, because they are. But you called them the greatest of all time. Why? And they're not even like... They are better than, for example... Right, as far as like lying about prelude, like they're better than the PewDiePie keyboard, right? I've actually not taken them out. Well, I've swapped it out with different stabilizers, but I've kept these as they come stock because I don't think they're awful. But again, don't give me that greatest of all time stabilizers. Like, put it close to the mic. It's okay. It's not great, but it's okay. So if you just come out and not try to, like, you know, do what you have a tendency of doing at Glorious and making everything glorious, I wouldn't have said anything about it. But you just had to, you know. And it's like, this is a MZ60, right? Ignoring the fact that my Glorious has lubed H1s and these have stock Gator and yellows. This is a, what, like a £50 board with plate mount stabilizers that are comparable to the GMMK Pros one as like stock condition, right? Spacebar is a little But then like your 2U stabilizers, £50 board with plate mount stabilizers and factory lube. So are these the GOAT stabilizers? No, but yours aren't either. And I have to also say another thing that people probably are thinking is, oh well, I'll put my like Duroc V2s in there or whatever. My issue is not so much. It's not so much the stabilizers themselves. I've lubed them and modded them and they're fine. Like I'd even say good. It's more a case of factory lube and how you're selling that. Because you put Duroc V2s in a board just how they are, they're also gonna sound kind of rattly. Like it's that process of lubing and tuning them and the way companies are claiming to do them that I have an issue with. Like, you know what it's like. You have this product. You could change the way you market it, or you could have. I guess at the time they might have had prototypes or whatever, but you could have. You didn't have to do this to yourself, you know. But what material are the keycaps? The GPPT keyboards are made out of PPT. Right, let's continue. Hello everyone, welcome. Let's go back to watching the video. That actually reminds me. I'll talk about it a bit in a bit, but these GBPT keycaps are not great. I know they're like. It's not so much that it's centered Legend. Like I'm not having an issue with Legends or whatever, or how they've done the font. That's all preference. And even though I don't particularly like that or wouldn't seek that out, that's fine. Like I like centered on like SA or whatever. It's more so. Okay, I'll play it back at 1x speed. Yeah, it's more so that the kerning, the consistency of the font, the rotation and the positioning are just not good. And it's like, that's what I'm basing it on. I look at the renders and I look at the keycaps, and you know, these aren't the same thing. So I don't really like those. You can get better PBT for about the same price or cheaper. So don't buy these. All right, let's have a little listen to that again, but not at dumb speed. Yeah, like it's, as far as pre-lube stabilizers go, they're not the best, but they're not bad, and they're certainly better than most like stabilizers you get in gaming boards. So, as far as the board sounds, I'll get into that a bit more through some other sound tests when you guys have heard it a little bit. My personal thoughts is that it's a, whatever the plate configuration, like aluminium and especially the polycarbonate one, is very muted and very dull. I would describe it as the Jacob's crackers of sound signatures. That's just me. Like I think a lot of people actually would like this. I think I'd put silent switches in this and I'd probably love it. But like, it really makes switches that I thought would be a lot louder really quiet and kind of, I don't want to say devoid of life because that's mean and it's not true, but yeah, it's whew, it's something. Am I on the right? Am I on the right? I am. Right, okay. Let's go back to it.
May be coming soon, and some... So we heard some prelude Glorious Pandas that may be coming soon, and some banana splits or machos, along with a couple of Glorious's new keycap sets, which I'll cover in more detail later, as well as GMK phosphorus. Like I said, I've been typing on this board for a few weeks now. With the pandas, I still get a little ping. With the banana splits, I really don't hear anything negative at all, except for some stab rattle on the spacebar. I know we've all heard all the sound tests. Yeesh. I enjoy the sound of this board. It's muted enough to where I'm not getting anything really negative, but I'm still getting enough low end for it to be satisfying to me. As for the typing experience, I've had no issues there either. It is stiff, probably more than I'd like. Stop. But we'll talk more about that in the video with the plate comparison. The board does have QMK compatibility with Vias.
You naughty man, bad.
Support on the way. You can, of course, use the Glorious Core software. Heads up, it's still pretty rough or basic, I guess, in terms of control and remapping. It is crucial to push firmware updates, though, so you should leave it installed for a bit after you get your board. I do know that there's a day one firmware push, so make sure you at least have it loaded up when you get your board if you did decide to pre-order.
Yeah, there are the promises of QMK is there. I haven't reprogrammed anything because the layout is fine for me, but yeah, there is the promise of VIA and yada yada yada. Again, I think something I've learned in my experience is not to buy on the promise, but I think you'd be pretty safe here in terms of your programmability being fine, so that's not an issue.
So talking value, when you look at their whole ecosystem approach with all the upsells and add-ons, that conversation gets really muddy, which is why I tried really hard to reframe and keep this review in perspective. If I filter all that noise out and I look at this board purely from here's $170, here's the bare bones kit that I get in return, it's really hard to not see this as a compelling value. If I look at this board versus a similarly spec'd $500 or $600 board, then I could pick apart stuff like the gasket mount implementation, the quality of the foam inserts, the fact that the knob is not solid brass, etc. But it's not a $500 bare bones kit. I don't even have that perspective. I don't own one board in that price range. My most expensive board to date is my KBD 75 V2. I paid a grand total of $235 for the kit and the weight, no stabs, and the GMMK Pro is better in virtually every regard. NK65 entry, $95. Aluminum version is $195. KBD Lite is $110. Portico is $120. Icky 68 wired is...
I don't know if I could compare. My biggest issue is their marketing angle. Yeah, kind of. I don't know if I could compare this to plastic boards specifically aimed at being entry. Not because I think that like it's a difference of typing feel and yada yada, but it's plastic versus plastic versus aluminium. I'll go into that a bit more. But yeah, right. Let us see.
Is 130. Haven't had my hands on it yet, but I do hear good things. Alt high profile is 190. Idlebow ID 80 is probably the closest. It goes for like $140, $150. Here we go. Compatibility, future VIA compatibility. Argument. Now, I will have some much more colorful commentary when we start talking about add-ons and accessories.
Yes.
Given their track record, I also...
Right. Okay. That is one video. Basically done. Summaries from there. Summaries. Said a lot of good stuff. Main things I'd bring out of that one is for this specific video is the gasket mount implementation is that compression ratio. Like, it's tight. The board screws together very tight and the gaskets are so thin to start with. They're compressed so much that it's really not doing anything. It's like, I don't know, you'd have to have tried sandwich mount and top mount aluminium and stuff, but definitely in the regular position you get it with the plate mount foam and the case foam, sorry, the the PCB foam and the case foam, like it's stiff. It's stiffer than top mount aluminium. I call it like top mount brass almost, which is like stiff. And if that was little going for a gasket mount, why not just give me top mount or sandwich mount? But whatever. We're gonna move on. To the next video. Any good questions? Love the stream. Oh, thank you. I'm trying. Any good questions? Gasket was 100% just for the buzzword in the case. I don't really mind what mounting system they use, but like it in actually using it, it did feel that way. I feel like this would have been better, quote unquote, if it was top mount. I would have enjoyed it more, but like I don't know. It obviously took a lot of comparisons from this board. We all know what happened at the same time to make this thing, but I don't think they don't look that similar. Like the edges are different, the bezels are different, the thickness is different. Although this is not really much more hefty than this is. This is a Satisfaction 75. This is the GMMK Pro, and it's like, yeah, you start looking at it, you can see the clear differences in terms of the finish, even with this prototype. But on the plus side, I'd say that this GMMK Pro itself doesn't, at the surface, feel out of line in terms of other customs, which is good. Right, next one. Do you think lubing the goat stabs would make them better? Crytex on the stem and dielectric. Yes, absolutely. Take them out. Okay, things I would say now, if you are getting this board, because honestly I think this board is fine. I think it's very boring, but I think it's fine, and I would, realistically, if you gave me $170 and told me I had to get a case, PCB, plate, and stabilizers, I probably wouldn't take it, but that's me. I like I like waiting a long time for really cheap deals and making weird things. If I was to give this to a friend who wanted to get into keyboards, who liked the layout, I'd feel pretty good doing that. Like, he's got plate options, he's got VIA and QMK, like, he can buy it and it will come within X number of days or whatever. Like, Glorious got in early and they've given people something to play with. Like, I can't argue about that. For someone asking, the keycap set on my GMMK Pro is WOB. It is GMMK white on black. I think Drop's the only place that sells this, and it comes in quite often. Right, who are we watching next? I want to watch Mr. Teha Types, Mr. Teehee Tingles. Let's see. I've seen a little bit of his because I was in a Black Simon stream. African American Simon, sorry. That was so unpog of me. Right. Let's see what Teha Types is up to. Mr. King of Keyboards himself. Right. Am I on? Am I on? I am on. Okay.
Hello, I'm Teha, and today we're going to take a look at this.
Looking sleek.
GMMK Pro. A keyboard that's taken the community somewhat by storm, and one that I personally think signals the start of a new arc for the mechanical keyboards hobby.
Alright, I love your intro, but
I didn't get to review the video before it went live. They're watching it for the first time just like everyone else. With that out of the way, let's unbox this. Glorious has kept the packaging pretty consistent with all their other products, no surprise here. We're greeted with a business card first upon opening. Make sure to check out their quick start guide, especially if you're new. Then underneath we have the keyboard, and they include basic accessories like a USB-C cable, switch and keycap puller, and some extra...
Buy new keycap pullers, those suck. And that the yeah, no. Get like, it's funny because they do actually have, let me show you. They do actually have like their glorious, that focus, yeah they do. They do actually have the glorious keycap puller. I don't know how much extra it is, but this is fine. Sure as hell beats this one. If you know, you know. But yeah, don't. If you want to save yourself, or you don't want to scratch stuff, don't get these.
Your gasket strips. All right, so this is the GMMK Pro. It's generated quite the buzz as it's the first mechanical keyboard from a decently well-known gaming company to truly take cues from the modern enthusiast mechanical keyboard scene. And they package all that into a retail price of $169.99. Now you might have noticed in the unboxing that the keyboard has no switches or keycaps. You will need to purchase and install switches and keycaps separately. This might come up as a shocker to people new to the scene, but this is quite normal once you start purchasing enthusiast level keyboard kits. So what does $169.99 get you then? Well, it gets you all the trending buzzwords.
Hey, all the trending buzzwords, yes.
75% gasket mounted, high profile keyboard with a knob. Oh, and of course it also has sound dampening foam, one between the PCB and plate and one underneath the PCB. Okay,
75% gasket mount with stabilizers and a knob. Oh no, it's the more I hear it, it's marketing, right? They know what they were doing. It's taking the things that you kind of see externally of like the high-end boards and putting them on a board that's affordable. I don't really care. Like, if they make what they say they're gonna make, they can call it a freaking attack helicopter. Like, if it does what it's gonna say on the box, then yeah, sure. Even if your marketing is in some sense a bit misleading, but whatever.
All memes aside, this keyboard, it's actually quite good. That's my verdict if you don't want to watch the entire video.
Awesome, we're done. Next video. No, I'm joking. I love you too.
I hate to admit it, but it's a very nice keyboard for its price range, and it just might outclass other keyboards in similar categories. Now, of course, it's not perfect, and that's to be expected, as there are some things that I don't like about it. So hopefully you watch the whole video. Now, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell to be notified of future videos like this.
Subscribe.
The GMMK Pro features a 75% layout with a knob. If you've seen my streams at all, I stream every Tuesdays and Wednesdays.
I don't know why that made me laugh. Like, knob is not a funny word, but it's just the way Americans say it. They say knob. It's not funny. It's not funny. Why am I laughing? Knob. You want a knob? Oh, that's funny.
Over at Twitch, you should already know that I'm personally not a fan of this kind of layout. I generally don't like knobs on my keyboards as I don't have a need for them, but I probably am in the minority as it's quickly become a popular feature on custom mechanical keyboards. For me, most 75% layouts don't rank high for aesthetics, but there's no denying it is a nice mix between compactness and preserving functionality, which I think is important considering the market this keyboard is trying to capture. The knob on the GMMK Pro is nice.
Whoa. What is happening there? Where'd my mouse die? Bro, did my mouse actually die? What the heck? Did my mouse die midstream? You're joking. F-cinch. Okay, no, it's doing this really weird thing where I can see it's working, but... Wait, is Glorious in the chat? Oh, Lord. Hi, Glorious. Hey, love you. Sorry I didn't make a video and might not be making one, but the board's alright. No, right, okay. Hi. Yeah, the board's okay. There's a lot I don't like about it. There's a lot I personally don't like about it. But there's a lot that I think is done right in terms of pricing. So, yeah. Damage control, guys. Damage control, 100. No, I'm joking.
The detents are definitely noticeable.
Okay, what is actually going on? Why am I getting these weird artifacts? Oh, come on.
You can feel the stepping as you turn the knob, which provides a subtle but evident feedback.
There you go.
It does wiggle a bit as the knob is only secured via friction to the rotary encoder, but during my 3 weeks of testing, I found this to be a non-issue for real-world usage.
Yeah, knob's fine. The knob, guys. The knob is fine. Okay, it works. It definitely feels the actual individual. I don't know what the individual like chain. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but like it's very subtle. Like you don't get a massive amount of feedback when you're turning it. It's not like this one where it's like doosh 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 every time you turn it. But no, it's a knob. Like it works. You get like a satisfying click, tactile bump, tactile going rise up. Yeah, it's not like it's very subtle, but yeah, no, the knob is fine.
As the knob is not actually screwed onto the rotary encoder, this makes interchanging it with the other knobs you can purchase from Glorious fairly simple. In terms of machining, all the outer edges have been filleted and it feels nice to the touch. The word Glorious is engraved on the bottom, the USB port cutout is pretty spot on, the fitment of the side glow acrylic piece and the cutout has no leaks, but I did notice that some of the machining did look rough around certain areas. The anodization is decent, but on my unit there were some light streaking and inconsistent spots here and there. Now the GMMK Pro comes in two colorways, white ice and black slate.
Yeah, finish is I'm not a master about finishing and seeing, but I have been learning a lot. I didn't think I'd be ever up at like 2 a.m. just looking at seeing. You know what? I'm out here, but like yeah, the finish is okay. It's again like it's not like it's not Korean shiny. That's what I don't really like that much. But it's yeah, it's fine. I didn't see any. There was one streak, but I can't remember where it was on the board. I took a note of it somewhere. If I find my notes later, we'll talk about it. But it's fine.
Definitely an ambitious mistake on Glorious's end to call their anodized board white ice. It's more like a silver.
Oh yeah, yeah. That reminds me. The board. I think we already talked about this. We already know it. The board is the black board is black. The white ice board is silver. Like we can go on and meme about this, whatever, but like that's what it is. You can already see it. It's not like they. It's not like they. What am I trying to say here? It's not like they showed you two renders and never showed you actual pictures of the image. Like you can, it's silver. So yeah, nice silver, but that's not white. That no.
The machining and anodization quality on the GMMK Pro isn't going to blow you away, but it's more than decent and acceptable, I think, from a product at this price point. Unscrewing the 8 Phillips screws, which are easily accessible from the bottom, open up the internals. I am happy to see that this time around, they have not only oriented the switch pinhole so that they are south-facing, but have also added 5-pin switch compatibility to the PCB, meaning you no longer have to clip your switches. At the moment, the PCB is limited to ANSI only, but an ISO version is coming later this year.
Did this man just say ANSI? ANSI? I know that's technically correct since it is an abbreviation, but I've never ever heard anyone say ANSI. Wait. Reload.
At the moment, the PCB is limited to ANSI only.
He did!
ISO version is coming later this year. Like the popular GMMK line of keyboards, the GMMK Pro only offers a hot swappable PCB, and it comes with their proprietary Glorious hot swap sockets, which from what I can tell don't seem functionally superior to other existing hot swap sockets at the moment, other than the fact that these Glorious sockets are orientation agnostic in terms of installation during manufacturing. The PCB is QMK compatible out of the box, and at the time of making this video, I do see the GMMK Pro in the QMK GitHub repo. Glorious has additionally stated they intend to make it VIA compatible as well later down the line, so we'll see how that turns out. For anyone who has purchased the first batches of this keyboard, there will be a required firmware update which needs to be done via the Glorious Core, a unified software that Glorious intends to use for all their products moving forward. I was only able to play around with a pre-release version before making the video, and it works okay. The software is fairly intuitive to use with about all the basic functionality you would want from a keyboard remapping program, from changing the LED colors, remapping your keys, and recording macros. The only real complaint I had was that currently you have to save each edit individually. You can't remap several switches at once, then click save for all those changes to propagate. If you do this, only the most recent change you made goes through. I have notified Glorious of this, and I've been told this has been worked on, but it seems like a fairly basic feature that should have been included ahead of time. By default, the GMMK Pro comes with an aluminum plate, but you do have the option of purchasing a brass or polycarbonate plate. Now traditionally, hot swap builds secure the PCB to the plate via standoffs located at various points spread across the entire PCB and plate. On the GMMK Pro, however, there are 2 big standoffs towards the middle, and then around the outer edge, 12 points where the PCB is screwed onto the plate. Based off the shape of the mounting holes for the PCB on the plate as well as how some of the cutouts looked, I did confirm with the folks over at Glarses that these plates are created via a tooled punch, as opposed to CNC machine switch plates like you might see on more premium boards. I assume this is also why my
If you don't know what it is, it's like they're basically stamped out rather than like a CNC machine goes over and goes like it cuts them out.
Aluminum and brass plate looks rough around the edges, but this is mostly visual. They are perfectly fine to touch. Of course, this PCB supports full perky RGB and also has some side glow, which I kind of like the execution of designing.
It looks good, but like this again, I've already said it. The side glow is very dim. Like, looks good on the side, but like who looks at their keyboard when they're typing like this, right? So I don't know about that one.
On either side of the PCB, there's a column of LEDs that illuminate upwards like all the other perky RGB lighting. Above these LEDs, but underneath the plate, rests a piece of acrylic that has an angled edge flagged with some kind of opaque white material to help direct the light up and outwards to the sides. This light is then diffused through a second piece of acrylic, the one that's actually visible from the outside, which is screwed onto the top piece. I'm not super in love with how the side glow looks overall as an aesthetic choice on this keyboard, but it is nice to see no dead zones and this double diffusion provides for a nice even glow. One thing to note, if you do go with the acrylic plate, you'll have quite a bit of light leak through the plate itself. The side glow also has an added functionality of being the caps lock indicator. It will blink whenever caps lock is enabled, but this is more of a gimmick in my opinion, especially if you're someone who touch types. Taking a look at the bottom piece of the board, other than the gasket mounting tabs, it's got 2 guiding posts near where the rotary encoder is, for when assembling the board together, a cutout for the daughter board, and a cable routing channel for the GST connector. The daughter board is secured with a single screw in the center, which I found a bit odd, as most I've seen are usually screwed with 4 screws, 1 per corner. There's also a yellow strip under the daughter board, which I thought was for adhesive purposes initially, but Glarses informed me, and I quote, that it's for insulation to help provide additional protection against accidental electric conduction. Oddly enough, the daughter board doesn't rest parallel to the bottom, it's angled upwards. It's only a very slight angling, however, so I'm not too worried about the longevity of my cables or the USB-C port, but given Glarses went through the trouble of designing around the daughter board, it would have been nice to see them take the extra step. I do appreciate the inclusion of a cable routing channel for the GST connector, and the additional grooves that they included, so that it actually keeps the cable tight.
Yep, this was good. It's nice. I didn't expect that. Like, I opened up when I saw the door and everything. I was like, oh, it's pretty good.
That should just about cover the construction of the keyboard. Let's now talk about how this keyboard feels. I will preface by saying that my preference is towards a softer bottom out experience. I've been especially liking a bit of bounce to my typing lately. With the default aluminum plate, the keyboard feels fairly firm, but it's a good kind of firm. It definitely doesn't feel like the harsh tray mount kind of firm you get with most other off-the-shelf keyboards.
Yeah, it's not quite as firm as, say, aluminium tray mount, but...
As the plate has no flex cuts, and combined with the default 12 gasket tabs, 2 of which are on the side,
side mount, yay!
For a gasket mounted board, the typing experience is a good level of stiff.
And the Vega, I don't know.
For people who enjoy a firmer bottom out. If you prefer an even firmer and harder bottoming out experience, then my recommendation is to get the brass plate. But in terms of typing experience, I do like the polycarbonate plate the best for this board. The increase in softness of the bottom out should be noticeable, even to people new to the hobby, so I think that speaks volumes for the difference in stiffness levels. Even with the polycarbonate plate though, you won't be feeling much flex or give if that's something you're looking for. Okay, onto acoustics. First thing.
But, in my opinion, when you have all of the included foam in there, when you go from aluminium to polycarbonate, it's still firm, it just doesn't feel... Let me this is kind of hard to understand if you haven't felt this kind of difference, but it's still firm, like you're not getting like flex on each key. Like you see people doing their flex test and they're like, oh, look how much the board flex when I push it down with the power of 1,000. Like, no, it's not. Like it's slightly less, it's less harsh. Like I don't feel like a kind of lingering vibration on your fingers when you have that PC plate versus the aluminium plate with all the case foam. But my favorite configuration, right, this is what I would do personally with this board. I just ditched all of the middle screws, right? So the standoffs that are holding it for that, for the hot swap to not mess up. Like basically, if you're doing what I'm doing, you have to assemble the plate and the PCB. Let me just make sure I'm on the Let me make sure I'm on the right. Yeah, you have to assemble the plate and the PCB by themselves, especially if it's the polycarbonate one. But like, ditch the middle standoff, ditch the standoffs and the screws around the plate. What I want to do is cut off the tab on the PCB that's making it rest on those side tabs. But at least if you take out the foam, the case foam, the PCB foam, the standoffs in the middle, and the 12 screws that connect the PCB and the plate, you get like a fairly even and nice, like soft typing experience. If you're after that kind of thing, go for it. And you're probably thinking, oh, but it might sound hollow about the PCB and plate foam. It sounds, I wouldn't call it hollow, but like, I wouldn't call it traditional hollow when it doesn't have that case foam in it. But honestly, I think that's fine. And I do the same with the aluminium, and it's still firm, but like more of what I would expect from like gasket mount aluminium. So yeah, that's my pro tip of the day. If you want to try out something soft with a little bit of bounce, take out all the standoffs, take out all the screws, take out all the foam, and try it like that. See if you like it. If you don't, start putting back foam in. I'd put in the case foam first. I think you can kind of do away with the screws in it. Like, it's not necessary. Mine have been sitting in this little. Mine have been sitting in this little in my AIO3 keycap puller box for like a few days because I don't think you need it. But yeah, to get the most out of this board, I'd say that's what you should experiment with. Just trying with, especially like if you have brass, it's going to be stiff. It doesn't really matter. But if you have that aluminum plate or that PC plate, definitely try experimenting with PCB foam, no case foam, no screws, or case foam, PCB foam, no screws, or whatever, to find that kind of balance of what you're looking for. If you do that, the board kind of starts to come alive and doesn't kind of just feel like all the other, like, kind of, not cheapish, but all the other boards that just put a bunch of foam in it. But yeah, that's my pro tip of the day. Let's get back to watching this because I am way behind. I can't tell if that's the real Glorious, and I don't know if they're verified. I like FR4. I like FR4, yeah. I like a half plate, but it's hot swap, and we all know how that works.
Things first. Let's talk about those GOAT stabilizers. They are pre-lubed with G-Lube, both on the plastic on plastic areas as well as on the wire, but it's not enough. I've heard war stabs on other boards, and any veteran enthusiast should be able to tell it's been lubed somewhat, but once again, Glorious kind of shot themselves in the foot, it seems, calling them GOAT stabilizers.
That's what I said! He copied. No, I'm joking.
I've also heard better tuned stabilizers from other pre-built keyboards out of the box. I think the sound test demonstrates this best, so take a listen.
Wow, Taya types so fast. Bro. Look how fast Taya types. Bruh. 400 BPM sound. Nah, let's put it down to normal.
I think the sound test demonstrates this best, so take a listen. I think it's clear.
Yeah, like the 2U stabilizers actually sound okay. Like, still mod them and whatever, but like, it's that spacebar. It's almost always the spacebar that I have issue with, and that really, you might say, okay, it's just like what 1 out of 5 or whatever, but you use the spacebar the most, and so when you're hearing that like rattle, it might not bother you if you're not kind of used to different things, but it's there, and it's kind of distracting. And so the reason why I think that's not so much an issue, because really you can mod it and it will sound fine, or you can get replacement stabilizers for your quote-unquote GOAT stabilizers, but like, just trying to think of who this board is for, and the way the board comes together as this already done package, where it's basically kind of marketed as like this crossover between people who just kind of use keyboards for being keyboards, and then people who have no life and like spend all their time without keyboards. Like, I would want somebody who takes this board to modify it and make some changes and find out what configuration they like this board in. But the way they've kind of presented this board is just put your switches and keycaps in here and you're ready to go. And I think a lot of people will end up doing that and will end up missing out, which is kind of a shame.
Here it could definitely use a bit more tuning. If you do take the time to tune them additionally than how they come pre-installed, I also personally recommend swapping them out for better stabilizers like Durox C3 or Zeal if possible. Annoyingly, Durox stabilizers are a rather tight fit on the aluminum plate, and if you're going to use the brass plate, you're going to need to sand off some of the stabilizer housing. If you do go with an acrylic plate, however, the Durox stabilizers should fit fine. While none of the GOAT stabilizers I tried suffer from binding, I did notice a smoothness increase from the better quality stabilizers, so this is why I recommend a stabilizer upgrade. As for the board itself, I don't think it's all that bad. It sounds quite decent. My preference is towards the aluminum plate. I generally don't like polycarbonate plates for sound, and this is the same with the GMMK Pro.
Why did he keep saying acrylic plate? Was there an acrylic option?
But if minimizing volume is your priority, then polycarbonate is the way.
Yeah. Aluminium is already quiet for like an aluminium casket mount board, but polycarbonate is quiet. Like, it is, this is one of the, and that's why I said it was lifeless. Like, it's not lifeless per se, but like it's quite dulled and quiet, even with the aluminium plate. But polycarbonate especially, if you want something really quiet and relatively deep as well, that's probably your best bet.
It does come included.
It's a shame that they didn't include that as a stock option. The fact that many people will just take the aluminium plate and call it a day. I wish that there was... It's a small thing, but I wish that you could get a plate option of PC, aluminium and brass that wasn't get aluminium and then have to add it on as an extra, but like it's a nitpick.
With 2 sheets of sound dampening foam, which are removable. In my opinion, the timbre of the board isn't spectacular, but it's not unpleasant by any means. I personally liked leaving both sheets of foam in for acoustics, but you can experiment with it. Here are some sound tests with various switches and keycaps.
Right, what are we looking at here? These are no leaves, so what? These are creams, basically. Yeah, creams. Alright, that's enough of that. Right, what do you guys think of that? Like, I'm interested to hear what you guys think of that sound test. Wait, can you hear my family? Oh my... Jeez Louise. Bruh. Anyways. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm interested to see what do you guys think of this sound? Like, obviously, sound isn't exact and blah blah blah. But like, what do you think? What do you think? Still prefer my tofu. Mm-hmm. I like it. Not amazing, but decent. 8 out of 10. I don't mind it. Sound is super subjective. Yes, Alex. Yeah. So, for example, like, I didn't really like the way a lot of mine sounded, but I almost don't want to say that because I know that people will base a lot of their decisions on what I say. But like, yeah, I have seen people who love it. I've seen people who don't like it. I think it's all right. Like, for me, I'd probably put silent switches in here because that's kind of a cop out. That's more because I don't like it. I think the best thing I had in here was it was either the lubed and filmed Glorious Pandas, or maybe it was just the MX Blacks. I don't know, but like, I found something that I like in there, which is okay. What switches do you use in your board? So my my Glorious Panda, my oh wait, bro, is my thing still on the, what do you call it? My GMMK Pro has. Do I have a keycap puller? Where is it? Yes, I do. It's got H1s. It's got H1s lubed with a little bit of 205 grade 0 and filmed with Desky's films. Pretty sure you won't be able to see that, but yeah. All black. It looks really cool, actually. Like, it's kind of boring. Like, it's a box. I don't like the thickness. I would prefer the bezels to be more uniform, but like the top and the bottom thickness difference kind of just rubs me the wrong way, but yeah, it's fine.
Along with the GMMK Pro, Glorious has released some additional accessories you can purchase, such as their GPBT keycaps, cold cables, lube station, G-lube, wrist rest, and whatnot.
If this is the wire keycap puller, I don't know what they're selling it for, but see if you can find one for cheaper, because they're basically all the same one. Like, it's basically all this one, right? And whatever brand who's found the OEM is selling it with their logo on it. Like, it's a wire keycap puller. It's nothing special unless you get like a Tempest or something like that. What else they got in the glorious stack? That's what I'm referring to it by now. Again, GPPT. If you really like the gradient, you'll probably find other gradient keycaps. Like, if you like the Center Legend cherry profile, is not that common. So, but yeah, I don't think the Legends, for the price they're asking and the crookedness and inconsistencies of the Legends, I can't recommend these. I don't have the cable, so I can't say. Lube brush as well, probably just like some OEM that they've marked the price up with. Glorious Lube, I've not tried. I've heard it's like 3204. But we don't really know what it is, so again, if you're getting it cheap, yeah, sure. If not, probably finding some 3204 or 105 somewhere else. Wooden wrist rest. I don't use wrist rest because I type properly, so.
Which you can check out on their website. I'll just briefly mention the keycap since I imagine that will be most accurate. And it's not for me. It's a PBT die sub set that retails for $49.
That's such a professional answer. It's not really my thing. Like, come on, don't. You can tell us the truth here.
$0.99 for 114 keys. So it'll probably cover your average gaming keyboard, but for more enthusiast layouts, this will be lacking. Initially, 7 colors will be available.
Yeah, that's another thing. Good thing about it is that you know it will cover the layout for the GMMK Pro. Obviously, that would be quite funny. Could you imagine if that would be really, really funny if the actual keycap sets they're selling don't have the compatibility for their own board. That would be hilarious. But yeah, it covers the board. So like, if you want something now and you just kind of want to just like, you could just buy it, right? Whatever. But I'm saying I cannot recommend these in terms of their quality based on what you can get for the same price. So.
And personally, for me, the only things I like about this set is the thickness of the keycap itself and the crispness of the legending. The alignment and consistency of the legending is pretty poor, however, and I'm not a fan of the right justified text on the right.
Oh, jeez. Centered is like, oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. Yeah, it is what it is, man. Like,
Side mods. Of course, not everyone cares for spending as much as they do on their keycaps as they do on their keyboard. So if you plan on sticking with the GMMK Pro for a while and just want something simple to go along with it, consider the GPBT keycaps. The final verdict. While I did have something to say about pretty much every aspect of the keyboard, none of them were major deal breakers, and I actually think this is a fantastic value proposition for any enthusiast, regardless of their skill level. While this keyboard is intended to be that next premium jump up for previous GMMK owners or anyone looking to get into the Glorious ecosystem, I think this will also be a great recommendation for anyone looking to dip their toes into the enthusiast scene without breaking the bank too much. If layout isn't too big of a concern, I would 100% recommend this GMMK Pro over other keyboards with a similar price point or layout, such as the KBD75 series, the Drop Control. Heck, I'd even probably recommend you forego the Keychron keyboards and that you just save up for this. At this price point,
would I recommend the GMMK Pro? I think the problem here is that I find it really boring. But that's a personal thing. I'm sure, and I've given it to like my family members and whatever, this is fine. I wouldn't call it good, however subjectively that is derived from, but it's fine.
and with minimal tuning, you can really get a decent custom mechanical keyboard experience that I think will be a great gateway into the hobby for many people. I think the biggest hurdle for the enthusiast community is going to be separating the brand from the product. There's no doubt Glorious has rubbed many people the wrong way in the hobby initially, and that they clearly are new to this segment of products. Now, I'm not absolving Glorious of everything that they've done, but I do think that at least publicly, they have shown an openness and willingness.
That's another thing, not related to this, but something else I remembered. Okay, let's do some maths, some mathematics here. This board is $169, 99 cents, $170, and that's your case, your plate, your stabilizers, and your PCB, right? All the features that they have, VIA and all that kind of stuff, right? You lube them, they're fine. You wouldn't really need to get like Durox or like cherry clip-ins or whatever like that. That's cheap relatively to the hobby. But if you're coming into the keyboard community and you're looking to build your first custom, I wouldn't really call this budget. Or I know it's a subjective word, but let me explain where I'm going with this. Let's say, for example, to finish off your keyboard, right, you go the Glorious route and you just buy everything they're telling you. Then you need to buy, what, How many packs? What? Glorious Pandas come in what? Let me actually check the price so I don't mess this up. But I believe Pandas come in packs of 36 and they're $25 each. So what? You'd need 3 packs. Let me see. Glorious Pandas. Yeah, I'm not sure if they're doing a bundle specifically with enough switches for the Glorious Pro. But yeah, it's $25 for... Why is it not telling me, bro? 36 switches, right, okay. So, that's $75 just to cover the number of switches on the GMMK Pro. So that's $75 plus 170. That's what? $245. Then, my maths right? Yeah, $245. Then, let's say you add their GPPT keycaps, that's $50. Your finished board is $295. That's not budget. Like, and the same thing happens with like, it's not so much the board's fault, but like I see people putting like GMK keycaps on their like NK65, and you can do that, it's fine. But then like this whole kind of budget thing gets a little bit blurred in my opinion, because your board ends up being valued in the high 200s or the low 300s. Let's say you go the GMK route, which you probably would be looking to. Like, you found a nice group buy you like, you've got in sensibly, right? You've paid $110, $120, I think that's maybe a bit more, maybe a bit less, right? For your GMK set. Let's say you get some of those lovely alpacas that everyone's been talking about. Hopefully, if you're smart, you'll buy them when they're in stock and not aftermarket. Don't do that. That's what? $6 per 10 switches. You need, let's say you buy 85 or 90 or whatever. Let's say you buy 90. That's $54. So that's $170. $54 for your switches. Let's say you buy $10, $15 worth of lube and films, right? That's $69. Let's call it $70. So we're back to $240. Then you add, at the very least, like let's say you get GMK white on black. And we're not considering shipping here because we don't know where you live, but that's $240 plus $110. That's a $350 build. This, for most people, likely isn't going to end up in what I would personally consider budget. So I don't like quite discounting it because it's just cheap, so it's good enough. But I would then look at it and say, okay, if you have $170 and you want an aluminium custom kit, what else do you buy? You've got like the ID80, you have the drop, ignore that. You have the like NK65 aluminium. You've got KBD fan stuff like the Tofus, the KBD75. You could just buy, for example, stuff from like YMDK, like the Melody 96, the NYM 96. There are other kits that you can buy if you know how to use places like Taobao and Superbuy. There are kits that you would get for significantly cheaper than this. But for the average person who is not yet willing to put down stupid money or stupid time to get something that looks like the fancy customs they've seen in the Tiki Tingles videos, it's not budget, but I think it's okay. Jeez, I waffled for a long time there, didn't I? I felt like I talked for a really long time, bruh. And it's 75% as well. Like, if you want something else, yada yada yada. But yeah, that's kind of what I think. I wouldn't call it budget. Let's just finish this video. I got stuff to do.
To learn about the community and listen, and so far I think the GMMK Pro is a decent first attempt. This board is, in my opinion, going to introduce a whole new audience to what custom mechanical keyboards can be like and convert new people to become enthusiasts. Now, only time will tell how truly in tune they intend to be with the enthusiast segment, but this is just the beginning. As big as Glorious is relative to our existing vendors, they are still minuscule compared to the larger companies that will be taking notice and entering the space. But everyone
Could you imagine like a Corsair custom? It's gonna be £7 million.
needs to start somewhere, right? Whether it's a vendor or the next enthusiast joining the scene. And we should look to help guide and teach these new entities within a reasonable degree, of course. Joining any niche hobby is a two-way relationship. Veteran members shouldn't look to gatekeep for the sake of keeping the status quo.
Don't do that.
But at the same time, new entities do need to put in the work to truly learn the culture of the space and not expect to be spoon-fed everything. Alright, that's it for me from this video. It's been a while since I've done a review video like this on YouTube, but you can expect more to come.
He's gonna say the
Let me know how
thing.
you guys like the format. Critique me down below in the comment section. And until next time,
See you, nerds. He did the thing. He did the thing. Very nice. Okay. That was good. See you, nerds. See you, nerds. Oh, Wildcat. Hey, how you doing? Now, which one do we watch? I'm gonna watch one more because I gotta go and do my homework. Yeah. Random Frank P's is the longest, but I kind of want to watch Alex's. Oh, and Betty put one out as well. Wait, has Wildcat been here this whole time? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you've been here. Hope you're doing well, man. Wait, Random Frank P's in chat as well. Oh, hi, if you're here. Which one do I watch next? Damn, you guys want Frank. But it's gonna be long, and I know he's gonna put a bunch of stuff. Oh. Okay, you guys watch that one yourself, right? Given the notes I've given you, you watch that yourself. I think it's gonna be good. But I talked to Alex earlier, and I kind of want to see if it's good. So yeah, make sure you watch the rest of these reviews. I will probably be in Discord for a little bit in my general. Don't DM me because I'll be annoyed, but I'll be in general. We can talk about it a little bit more if you've got any more questions specific to it. But yeah, I'm gonna watch. This is what we're gonna do. I'm going to watch Alex's video. Then I'll maybe answer questions for like 5 minutes, and then I need to go and do my homework. Well, it's not homework; it's coursework, but you know, whatever. Right, let's find it. Good videos, by the way. I enjoyed those a lot. Make sure you're subscribed to the Mandem. Let's see. Where's the last video? At this point, I'm probably not going to put out a video. Like, you already know what I think. It's just going to be long. Here we go. Right.
I don't think of. So this is the GMMK Pro, and you've probably seen a lot of people talking about it by now. You might have even seen my sound demo videos. There's a lot to talk about with this keyboard. Now, the first thing I want to cover is, first of all, keyboards, very preference-based, but there are some objectively good and objectively bad things about keyboards. We're going to be going into that today, and we're going to be taking a deep dive at what the GMMK Pro offers. Now, I think it's important to note that these keyboards come in two different colors, one being black, and the other in a white ice.
And the other in a silver.
Now, when I think of white ice, I definitely don't think
Oh,
of
it's got it.
silver.
Okay.
I think of more of my cable color there, which is a bright white. I guess this is what they consider to be their white ice. Let it be known that I personally think and view this as more of a silver color. And at the current time of this video, this keyboard retails for about $170. I don't know if that's going to be changing anytime soon, but it is $170 US. And just kind of like the Icky68 Aurora, there's a lot of different accessories for this. Definitely not as many as that particular keyboard, but there's still some that they offer. For example, different plates, different knob colors. But I'm not going to go into
Knob.
the accessories.
Knob. Sorry, I'm 5. Sorry.
Glarsesyt. A lot of other people are doing wonderful reviews on those. I just want to talk about what I know best, which is these keyboards. Alright, so first thing I want to do is actually open this thing up, and I want to show you what you actually get inside one of your kits. Ignore all my fingerprints. I do think that assembly of a board is also very important. An easy to assemble board usually is more beginner friendly, and that's something I do appreciate. that you're not going to get keycaps, you're not going to get switches, but you do get a whole bunch of other things. I will show you.
In that regard, I definitely say it's not the easiest. Like, the easiest board in terms of being beginner friendly is almost definitely tray mount, because it's literally just take like 6 keycaps off your board, unscrew the screws, and then boom, you're into everything. So this definitely has a lot more steps than like a regular tray mount, like your Tofus and VK61s, but it's not complicated, it's just more steps.
Here in 1 second, I will also show the disassembly from the backside. Alright, now that we've opened up our black unit, let's see what's inside. So we're going to have our top frame over here, which we actually have to remove this little guy over here, the knob. And now that we got the top frame off, we're greeted with our PCB/plate assembly. This is going to be one big unit since it's screwed together, but be careful, lift from the bottom and up. There is a daughter board cable. We're going to slowly remove that, and now we are greeted with our PCB. And this is a hot swap PCB, as you guys can see, as well as our top construction. In the box, you're going to be getting your base, this foam at the bottom here, daughter board cable, top frame, plate, and PCB. But I also want to stop for 1 second to remind you guys, this board's $170. There are kits out there that cost much more, and some that cost in the $200 to $300 range. They're considered an entry level. But we have been seeing a rise of budget-friendly boards, like the IKI-68, like the NK-65, as well as a whole bunch of other things like the Portico and the Ramakara. The point I want to get across is, while this is a cheaper board, it is not exempt from criticism. And before we get into too much of the case construction or quality of the case, I did want to bring up a big thing, in which is probably the most commented thing right now, the stock stabs. I do want to make it apparent that I do think the stock stabs need work. They don't feel good. I tried so hard to get them to not rattle, and I just couldn't do it. I tried more lubricant. I tried reseating everything. I tried putting some bandage mods underneath. Everything you guys can think of, I tried. Nothing I could do.
Did you try holy modding them? I don't know. Mine were fine. I could get mine to like a decent amount. But...
You can make those stock stabs.
Though I didn't do the spacebar, and that might be what he's talking about, so...
Not rattle. However, one small thing, or big thing, however you guys want to view it, that I found out with these stock stabs is they might actually be a different size than what we in the keyboard world are used to. And by that, I mean the housings are a little smaller, and I'm not sure if that's affecting the sound at all. How that came to be was when I actually swapped out the stabs for the Duroc stabs. I noticed there was a bunch of plate tightness. I also tried cherry stabs as well as some other stabs as well. Could not get anything that wouldn't be super tight on those plates. I do feel like if you want the best experience out of your stabilizers and you want that really smooth aftermarket modded feel where you're not going to have a lot of that rattling noise, you're better off buying a set of stabs if you wanted to invest your money in this board. But I also feel that it's very...
Yeah, like you already spent... You probably already intended to spend like the $300 whatever, so it's like $10, $15. Oh, actually no, the Rock 2s are kind of expensive. Yeah, it's probably... Yeah, I get like some Duroc V1s. I'm cheap. I like cherry clip-ins. I can get them for like $1 a pop. Like that's what I do.
Very important to note that these do come with the board, so it's not like you have to go out of your way to buy them. I would have loved to see an option where the bare bones kit did not even come with stabs at all. I think that would have been a lot better for anyone who is now dreading the fact of going to buy an additional part. And the best way I can really show you guys what I meant by that plate tightness is on the brass plate. These are the stock stabs. They fit flush, they go in very easily, and they remove very easily as well. And you guys can see from that side profile, they sit nice and flush, and again, they remove nice and easy. If we try that again with the Duroc stab, this is where the trouble part comes in. I can't even get this in the actual plate. This requires a lot of force. And that's what really leads me to believe there's some sort of tolerance gap that you really have to start pushing, and you can see I'm using a lot of strength here too to get
Yeah, everyone's noted that. I think Taya noted it. I think was either Taya or Badsy talked about having to sand it down. In one sense, it fits with what it comes with, and so I can't be too mad that the plate does not accommodate for every single stabilizer, but
this in. And it's not fully in, and this is on the brass plate. I had to do the same thing with the polycarbonate and aluminum. It wasn't as bad on the polycarbonate, but it was still very much there on the aluminum. This is kind of where I'm a little bit disappointed. This poses a big problem too. For anyone who's new to the keyboard scene and wants to actually swap this out, this is not easy to do, and this is kind of nerve-wracking. So this is very disappointing. And it really makes me feel like Glorious just really wanted people to go with their stabs and nothing else. However, I can't really recommend their stabs, and we'll talk more about them later when we talk about the goat stabs. So there is something else I wanted to point out with the plate and the foam. The plate, as you guys can see, has foam underneath. Now, out of the box, that foam is actually glued to the underside of the plate in one small...
Yes! Oh, I forgot. Yeah, there's like some adhesive on the foam and the plate, and I was like, why is this not? I was like, am I just that weak? Why is this not coming off? It's because, that was such a pain. And then you get like this little mark on, like you can't see it obviously, but it was just, Why? I'm sure there's a reason, but again, like the other thing that I was remembering is like that I've not seen on many plates is like there are weird spaces on the edge of the plate, and I asked, and they were like, oh yeah, it's so that it's more the plate has even pressure when you're putting in like the switches and hot swaps, so it doesn't so the plate doesn't bow, especially with like the softer plates. Then I was like, okay, but if you have that, what's the point of having like the middle standoff if you're gonna try and do whatever. It's just very very six-brain design, right? You don't truly understand Glorious until you understand Glory. Okay, whatever.
Well, here we go. I have no idea why they did this. I did ask, and it seems like the answer that came about was so it didn't slip. Now, I did remove, like I said, the glue from both of mine, and there's no slippage. So, a bit odd, but if you guys are opening this up and wanting to get rid of that, just get rid of it. Now, on the topic of plates, it does come stock with an aluminum plate, but honestly, I do feel like the polycarbonate plate that I have in the white ice variant is actually the best plate out of all three of these. I did not like the brass. I do feel like the aluminum inside this particular case feels weird. Now, again, this is a total preference thing. I did actually prefer the aluminum more than I preferred the brass, but I do feel like the polycarbonate had the best sound profile to my preference out of all three of the plates. And I typically like aluminum. The problem is with this aluminum plate here is the spacebar as well as the bottom row felt a little high pitched, and I did not like that. It did not go with the rest of this board. And the reason why I actually swapped to an ABS plastic opposed to the rest of the PBT caps on here was because this felt and sounded the best to my ears. Now again, this is highly, highly preference based. So
What?
if you guys like the way this sounded, the sound tests are in my YouTube channel. I'll put a link in the bio as well for that. And I don't want to focus too much on bad things with this, so I kind of want to go back and forth between good and bad points. One really good point is just how well built this keyboard is. What I really, really liked about this is the finish. The finish on both of my units were very, very good. And one really big plus that I really liked about this particular board was the channel it had for the daughter board. As you guys can see, there's little clips to where it kind of locks the daughter board cable in place. I really like that, and I wish more boards would do that. Typically what happens is these daughter boards, the cable for them kind of go all over the place and kind of makes putting down your construction of the case a little bit more difficult. So kudos to that. That was actually really cool. But with that being said, I do have to discredit it some points for its gasket implementation. Now, by default, the gaskets are very, very shallow on the top of the frame. In fact, they were so shallow that I had to add the extra gasket material that it came with. With that being said, there is a very high level of compression that happens between the gaskets here on the top and on the bottom. Now, what does that mean for your typing experience? Well, it's going to be a bit stiffer. The gaskets still do some of their job, which is absorb some of that impact and reduce some of that weird noise or feeling that you get from the metal case, but it doesn't have that softer typing experience that you typically would find in a gasket build. And I did try without
Perfectly said.
adding the extra gaskets as well. It just didn't hit. It didn't feel very good. I feel like I needed to add those to get the true effect of the gaskets in this case here. Just because these are so shallow. And I'll show you guys.
Yeah, they do come with, I think Alex already said it in the stream. It does come with, I don't know how many, but I think it's enough to, I don't know my boxes, but yeah, it does come with the extra gaskets. So you could experiment and see if you liked it more with extra gaskets. You could put some just on the top and the bottom case. If there's enough, you could put it on both. But yeah, that does come in a box.
With the close up right now. So this one over here in the corner is one of those gaskets that I did not replace because they did not have gaskets that size, nor did I cut one down. That's how shallow it is. There's really nothing there, as you guys can see. It's blended right inside the case. Now on the ones that I added the extra gasket material, they've compressed a bit from being inside the case, but they're apparent, they're there. But yeah, overall was not too
They're very thin. Like, this would be a very, I can't tell if this is a cost saving measure, but if it is very strange because like, it is a gasket mount board without the the gasket's there, but like that's the hurrah, we made a budget gasket board, but actually what are gaskets? We don't understand. Like it's funny.
happy with the gasketing on the top piece of this thing here. And you guys can see too, there's some weird effects that happen to the gaskets. Some of them shift, so the extra one here I put on did shift a little, and you can see some damage that actually happens to these gaskets. Now on the bottom frame, it's a little better in terms of quality. The damage is not there, fortunately, except for some of them, which you guys can see over here. And the gaskets have all the room in the world to do their thing. And with that being said, I urge you guys to, if you guys again pick up this board, play around with it, see what feels best to you. Again, this is just my preference.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I played around with it. Again, I talked about why I kind of didn't like the way they're doing it, because I think for the target it seems that they were aiming for, they would probably not understand that they could adjust these things. They might think like, oh, the case foam is supposed to be there, like it's a feature of the board, right? And so they might think, oh, I can't take this out. And that doesn't annoy me, that's not quite the right word, but I think that if you play about with this board, I think you probably find potentially a more fitting configuration like I did. I think I probably built this around like 12, 13 times with different switches and different configurations and plates. And I found something I liked. Like I told you, it was the polycarbonate plate with without the PCB plate screws, without the standoffs, without the case foam, and without the PCB foam. So basically as bare bones as possible, but I like that. But just with the way they're doing it, I hope that in some sense people are encouraged to play about with it. You know, it's a custom keyboard. Like it's dumb, but it's fun. Not I don't know. The way it comes, I hope that people do have a good go and try around and find something they like, because like you said, preference.
All right.
But the gaskets are still kind of trash though. I'm not taking that away. I'm not saying the gasket, you can find a way to make it better, because the implementation is trash. It's too shallow and it's too thin and it's very, very tight. But I'd say you can still probably find a configuration that you like. So, I pressed the wrong spacebar.
I'm gonna go to another point which I just really, really didn't like, which is how many screws are on this plate / PCB assembly. There's a lot. And actually, if we freeze frame right now and count all the screws, there's a lot of screws. But yeah, again, this is probably a deterrent from someone who's going to be opening this up just to replace those stabs we mentioned earlier. It's difficult, and honestly, it's kind of a pain to unscrew this thing and swap out stabs if you want to do this more than once. Thankfully, you probably only have to do this one time though, so there's that. And when we put this back together, this ends up being a very stiff typing experience because of how many screws and how stiff this whole entire area is. Even with the polycarbonate version of the plate, there's really not a lot of flex with this. So it ends up being a...
Like I said, I don't know how many people who have had this board have basically just went, screw everything that's supposed to be here, I'm gonna do this the way I want. When you take out those screws and stuff, it's still, it's not, it's definitely a bit softer, a bit more playful, a bit bouncier. But yeah, like I said, I doubt a lot of people who do this will, one, think of doing it, and two, not feel like they're breaking the board.
Stiffer typing experience. Now, is that a bad thing? No, not for everybody. Some people love stiff typing experiences. I prefer a mix of both, and these days I'm leaning more towards the softer typing experience. And I guess that begs the question of, who is this board actually for? The answer is I'm not sure. I think the board crosses a really cool line by introducing more availability to the market for mechanical keyboards, but I feel like there was some stuff in here, for example, the stabs and even the gaskets, that could have been done a lot better.
I'm actually enjoying this. I want to watch this properly.
I think the board crosses a really cool line by introducing more availability to the market for mechanical keyboards, but I feel like there was some stuff in here, for example, the stabs and even the gaskets, that could have been done a lot better. I do feel like the plate PCB construction kind of makes it a deterrent from newer builders, as well as, again, having to buy a few more parts being my recommendation of a PC plate, as well as my recommendation of picking up aftermarket stabs.
I'm not smiling because I agree with everything you're saying, like basically 100%. But if you saw the script I was writing, you thought this was bad. Oh. I don't know.
So there is some work going to be put into this. Now, for argument's sake, a lot of the other starter boards don't even come with stabs, so you will have to take that apart and assembly is required anyways. I think the confusion here is this was marketed as something that you can just pop in switches and be good to go. However, from my experience with most of these projects, I end up tinkering around with them anyways, so it's not a big deal to me. However, it might be a big deal to you. So again, use your own judgment here and kind of come to a conclusion with the information that's being presented. But here's the thing though, guys. I actually think the board sounds and feels pretty good. After all said and done, you can get past all those minor inconveniences mentioned in the video. I think there's something beautiful to be had, especially for $170. I understand this is probably going to be a lot of people's first build, and I don't want to scare anyone away from buying it. These are just things that I've noticed, and I do think that with anything in life, there's always room for improvement. I actually quite liked my version of the polycarbonate and linear. I've been using it off and on for the last 2 weeks, and it's been an enjoyable experience. And I would love to see more changes going into a version 2 of this if that ever does come to fruition. I think there's a lot of good things to be had in criticism. Now, I know I just said this review was about the board, but I also wanted to review the standalone Glorious Goat stabilizers. I'm not sure why they're called Goat. So these are transparent housings, and they're the same ones, with one exception, well actually two, that you get with the stock GMMK Pro board. And as you guys can see, the wires are gold, and you do get a 7U wire and a 6.25U wire, as well as some 2U wires and your housings and stems. And if you guys notice, so these are metal washers, which I do not recommend for anyone.
Who was it who was telling me about this? Oh, never mind. Let's let it play out.
GMMK Pro. So the point of those washers, and in the normal case you get something like a nylon or a plastic, is to break contact between the metal screw and anything that might short on the PCB. And when you have a normal solderable PCB, there's a lot of options in some cases. So for example, a split backspace or a split right shift, that would break the contact for some of those additional holes that you'd get in the PCB of where the pin would go through. So at this point in time, I cannot really recommend either the stab or the washers that come inside. And I don't really know why these are even in here. With the Glorious board, it's a hot swap board and it has a fixed layout. So there's no real purpose to even use washers. That's why you didn't see them included with the board. But again, I cannot recommend this for your next project where you need washers and a stabilizer. First of all, because the stabilizer is just odd and I can't figure out why they rattle, and for the washers. But yeah, guys, that's all I really have for the Glorious board here. If you guys want more about this, I'll be doing a live stream teardown the same day that this comes out at 7 p.m. where we're going to completely go through this and I'm going to give you guys more in-depth thoughts about the board. Stuff that I didn't really feel like needed to be in a quick, roughly 10-minute, hopefully this is 10-minute video. But
10-minute video. Yeah, I enjoyed it though.
I hope this made your decision to purchase or pass a little easier on this board. And if you guys like this kind of content, please leave a comment down below, like, subscribe, do whatever you guys need to, and thank you again for stopping by. Love you.
That was nice. I enjoyed that. Okay. I enjoyed that a lot. Like, as a video, like, I don't know. I see myself first and foremost as a content creator before like an enthusiast, but as a video, I enjoyed that. The cadence at the end was very nice. Okay, we've watched 3 videos. I don't know what the time is. Oh my god, we're gonna have like an hour and a half. Jeez. Frank is heartbroken that he didn't watch his. Oh, I know, but it's 7, and if I stay here, I'll probably end up being. If I stay till 7 now, I'll end up watching like another 3, and I don't want to be here till 9. I think we've got the general idea. Brandon's key broke. Oh dear. Right. So you want to probably go see Brandon Taylor's video and see if there's anything there. Okay. What conclusion can I come to? Okay. First, if you're watching this and you are considering it, or if you have a reservation, go through all the reviews. Try and make a list of things you're looking for in the board and see if they're answered, and make your decision off that. 2. This is not a... I wouldn't call it a budget board. It isn't in the sense of its price relative to other customs, but the way I see it, you will probably still most likely end up spending $250 and shipping on this. So that's not in my sense. I can't just say this is good purely because it's relatively cheap. We've already been over the things that don't seem to really work in terms of the implementation of the gasket, them being too shallow, too thin, the case being too tight, the compression was too much, which kind of it kind of defeats the purpose of having it. And I feel like, both in a sense that I wish they had gone for another mounting style that they could have done at the price, and also I wish that they didn't push so much to make it what's the word, marketable. I think this would have been fine. I think they would have done better if it was a bit more low key, but the board was structurally sound in the mounting style based on what people have used before, because then it would have got around better with word of mouth. Like, people would have been like, oh, you want a board, try this, it's got this and this, it works very well. And now it's like, oh, here's a board, this is weird, that's kind of not weird, blah 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 blah. Again, we've talked about the stabilizers. Why did you do that to yourself? Why did you call them goat stable? Like, it's probably a good thing I didn't make a video, because I had a whole. Have you seen that meme where it's like HR wants you to find the differences between these images? and I had like a whole whiteboard thing where I had a whole thing. I'm not doing it. It takes too long. But you've already seen everyone talk about the stabilizers, both in terms of how they come pre-lubed and their fitment in terms of plates and other boards. Alex already mentioned if you're buying these as their own pack, probably don't because of those metal washers. You don't want to short something. I personally think that they're still a fair bit better than most of the stabilizers you get on, for example, gamer boards. And if you're coming from that, it will be a lubed and probably smoother experience. But yeah, they're not great. You didn't need to call them goat stabilizers. Again, plate and case feel. Please experiment. If you are thinking of picking this up, most people seem to have said they're stiff, and I'm wondering if it's because most people didn't end up undoing all the screws and basically just having the board being the plate and the case screwed together by the case screws. I think you can find a balance. I think there's a decent amount of play in terms of soft-ish to very, very stiff in the different plates. So do try and experiment with that. Again, the finish, the CNC, the anodization is all fine. And it's $170. You can buy it now. GMMK support. Oh wait, I think I missed the comment. I tried to conclude right there, but I think I missed the important comment. Oh no! I was about to conclude. Okay, do you guys actually like? I don't have an issue. I know the video is going to be great, but like I said, I have something to do. I could, if I don't make that many comments and like don't stop to reiterate things, we can watch it. Do you guys want to watch it? Bruh, you man said, yeah, let's watch it. Oh, you know what? Fine. You win. You win, Random Frank P. You win. Fine. God. Man. You win. My lord, you win. Alright, let's watch it. It's here. Glorious GMMK Pro review. I remember seeing this and I was like, seeing how you were cutting it down. Woo! So it's going to be in a monolith. Right, let's do it. Let's freaking do this.
Black and white. So this video is going to be a bit more thorough because not only are we reviewing the final keyboard once it's fully built, but we're going to be looking at the bare bones GMMK Pro that you receive when you buy one and the whole modding process behind bringing the keyboard to its final form. We got a lot to go over, so sit tight, grab another cup of coffee, and let's get into it. So first up, this 75% form factor probably isn't what you're used to seeing if you're not involved in the custom keyboard community, but it's essentially a smaller version of the fan favorite TKL size keyboards. And as I said, we have both their...
Ooh! Okay. Okay. Let's see that transition again.
Plate and white used to seeing if you're not involved in the custom keyboard community, but it's essentially a smaller version of the fan favorite TKL size keyboards.
Ooh!
Both their black slate and white ice units to show off in all its glory. And as a bare bones kit, they call it, it comes fully assembled for you out of the box. So you don't need to build it from like the plate and PCB and all that. All you need to finish it off is to buy your own choice of switches and a keycap set. It comes with a rotary knob encoder in the top right, which is great for volume control.
Rotary knob.
Zooming in and out or scrubbing a timeline. It's all programmable. These are fully swappable. By the way, you can just pop them out. And they sell 3 different colors with black, white, and a brass. And they're only $9.99 each. We have their own lubed goat stabilizers already installed, their PCB screw-in for extra stability, and the color-matching gasket mount hot swap PCB for both units supports 5-pin switches in the south-facing orientation, which means there won't be any interference issues with certain keycap sets, and you can pretty much use any switch you want.
Yep, that's important to note. Not only will a lot of pre-builds, which, okay, so if you're not quite sure of what that means in terms, I think I explained at the beginning, but I'll say it again. This board, the orientation of the switch is what we call south facing, which means the LED is at the bottom. This is normal Cherry spec. What this means is that Cherry profile keycaps, like GMK ones and Joy PBT ones, will not have any interference. That means that the keycap will not be hitting, instead of the stem in the switch bottoming out on the bottom of the key of the bottom housing, the keycap will touch and kind of scrape over the top of the switch, and you get this kind of unclean feeling. You'll hear it and you'll sound it, and that's what you get in a lot of these boards. The LED will be at the top of the switch. I think I can actually show you. Make sure I'm actually on the right one. Yeah, the LED, you can see the orientation kind of, but the LED is at the top there. And so you'd get interference issues, usually with row 3, if you put Cherry profile keycaps on this. So a lot of these boards, that's not a concern for them. Where's the keycap? Oh, I lost my H keyboard on my PewDiePie. Oh no, where did I? Wait, where is it? Oh, it's right. It's right, I knew that. Yeah, it's not a problem on a lot of gaming boards because it has OEM profile keycaps, and those are slightly higher and more shadowed out, and so you don't get the interference when you're pressing it, so it's fine. It's also usually a benefit because the legends, right, the letters on these keycaps are usually on the top, and so you'll have the best LED shine through when that legend, the letter, is right underneath the LED. It will shine through it better. So of course, if you have the LED here and the keycap legend here, it won't look as bright and shine through as well. But that's usually not a problem that like enthusiasts have because they don't usually use shine through keycaps. So that's why a lot of people have been recommending this and like praising it in terms of having south facing LEDs. Hope the explanation wasn't too garbage. Yeah, and it's 5-pin as well, so you can put in any switch you have in here really. Right, let's get back to that. Man, I need some water. My mouth is getting dry. How did stream for like 10 hours, bro?
Because with the 5-pin slots, it'll support a 3-pin switch, obviously. Build-wise, the GMMK Pro is a chunk. It weighs 3.3 pounds out of the box from its CNC aluminum body. It also comes stock with an aluminum plate inside, although you can choose to buy either brass or polycarbonate plates as well. You have the glorious typeface engraved on the bottom of the keyboard, 4 rubber pads in each corner, and there are no flip-out feet on the bottom, but the back is angled at a 6-degree angle. And man, just both super nice and clean. When I first unboxed it, I was blown away at the quality and the heft of the keyboard. So I am going to be dropping an additional giant unboxing video, going over every single accessory that you offer for this keyboard.
Okay, I'm sorry, Frank, but I can't watch that one. I'll watch it offline by myself, like I always do. But yeah, you're giving me too much content. I gotta go do my real stuff. I'm sorry.
That'll probably be tomorrow or sometime this week, probably. But as you see, I have this connected with a coiled USB-C cable.
I'm also kind of salty. Like I know it's probably good they didn't send all that stuff to me because I didn't end up making a video. But I made this. Come on, I gave you hours worth of insight. But yeah, I got like the keyboard, switch pillar, keycaps.
They do offer these and sell them. Stock in the box does come with a regular USB-C cable, but you can pick up your very own because Glorious is making colored 5-pin aviator connector cables. So the fact that they have these and they're actually offering different colors as well, I think is awesome. But yeah, so obviously means the cable is removable here. It is recessed on the back side, seated nicely in the middle. Then before we start the build, just a few...
Yeah, the recess is big enough that you hopefully won't have any issue with your custom cables. With your fat, chody custom cables, they hopefully won't have that problem I have. The same issue I have that annoys me is when I have... when the screw hole in a board is so recessed that I can't use my my regular screwdrivers. I have never gone from 0 to 100 like that. It's so annoying.
A few more notes. The frame is high profile, so the switches are seated into the frame so they're not exposed on the sides. In addition to the vibrant RGB, we also have side lighting to add some extra glow on your desktop. And again, just the fact that they give us color matching PCBs to the case just really proves they're really paying attention to the aesthetic details here. They very easily could have made just one PCB and used them in both colors, but no, color matching. Alright, next up, we're going to fully build up our black unit, go through all that, and then disassemble the white unit to show you, what's inside if you want to take a deeper dive into customizing your keyboard. Okay, so for my switches here, just out of ease for this build, I'm going with their own Glorious Panda switches. These, however, are lubed with their G-Lube out of the box, and surprisingly, they feel and sound really good for a factory lube job. So much so to the point where I didn't even feel the...
Is that a new thing? Wait, what? I think I caught this in another video, but I was tripping. Wait, did they come factory lube now? What? 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 Bruh. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think factory lubing is I'm buffering. I don't think factory lubing is that great. I think the best factory lubing is probably whatever Duroc is doing with their V2 linears. Like, I'll make a video, but like Duroc V2 linears, oof. That's like one of the only things I could probably just put in a board. I wouldn't feel too bad. Like, it's actually pretty decent. Yeah, I think those are new. The Glorious Pandas, I have Glorious Holy Pandas, and I've got the OG box, but I guess these are new ones then.
I need to take them apart and lube them myself. If you guys saw a few weeks
Oh, they'll probably like have a release when they do this, but yeah, I don't think they're out yet.
back, I did lube my own panda switches for the Ramakara build, and no lie, these feel right on par. I'm very impressed.
Okay.
Like, that's stock. That's a really good factory lube job. With it being a 75% keyboard, we need 83 switches in total, and these are tactile switches, so paired with that default aluminum plate inside, we're still gonna feel that tactility real nicely, but it's gonna be a smoother stroke than a nice bump once they actuate. The stem is palm and the housing is nylon, and even though I'm team linear, these make a hell of an...
Okay, I'm sorry. We have seen people build it, so we're gonna skip to here.
bit. We can match that up to the keycaps, a nice teal, but if you do want some crazy RGB, hang tight. I got you covered with that white build coming up next. And just like that, the black unit's all wrapped up. Again, all you need to buy is a keycap set and switches to fully, customize and finish off the build. So super simple. We'll do a sound test in a minute, don't worry. We still have to take apart and build the whiteboard, then we'll get into my overall, experience and pros and cons of the keyboard still. All right, so taking it apart is relatively straightforward. Again, I'm sure most people who aren't familiar with custom keyboards may not have used a gasket mount keyboard in the past, but it's not complicated. Taking it apart underneath are 8 screws in total that are keeping the top and bottom frame together. Once they're all out, just pop out that rotary knob. You can easily just take off that top.
Yeah, the first time I tried that, I was baffed for like 5. I was like, I took the screws off. Why is it not unscrewing? Why is it not unscrewing? Yeah. I don't know how I missed that. Like, I generally was like turning the board around. Like, did I miss a screw or like am I? Then I went, oh, it's the knob. It's always the knob. Goddamn knobs.
Top plate. Then inside you have the aluminum frame and PCB sandwiched together, but to my surprise, there's a bit more going on. So inside, underneath the PCB, they actually have a custom cut layer of dampening foam, which is to, cut down on that resonance that may occur when you're typing. Since the block of aluminum is hollowed out inside to fit these components, this pad's going to help keep any micro vibrations to a minimum as it gets absorbed here with this layer. Then you can see for the bottom housing of that CNC block, we have the cutout for the USB-C daughter board, and a channel to route the cable which powers the PCB. Now, holding the plate and PCB together are 2 top screws and posts. Once these are removed, there are then 12 additional screws underneath the PCB, which holds that in the aluminum plate.
Wait, did you say it's not that complicated? It's not complicated, but it's like...
Again, I'm sure most people who aren't familiar with custom keyboards may not have used a gasket mount keyboard in the past, but it's not complicated. Taking it apart underneath are 8 screws.
Okay, gasket's not complicated. Okay, not the because the deconstruction, like, this is... It's kind of a lot of effort, I'm not gonna lie. Compared to like tray mount or whatever things are simple, quote unquote. Oh my.
Additional screws underneath the PCB, which holds that and the aluminum plate together even more. And again, to my surprise, another layer of foam sandwiched between these two. Now, since I want to swap out the default aluminum plate with a polycarbonate plate, which by the way only costs an additional $19.99 if you want to pick one up as well, you first have to reapply the side LED diffusers. They have these cutouts on the side, so they just pop into place really easily. Then you just line up your PCB so the stabilizers slide down through the plate, and then remount those 12 screws to hold it all down. And real quick, just to point out, I'm opting not to use that sandwich foam layer between the polycarbonate plate, but obviously you can choose to do so if you wish. Next step is plugging back in that tiny 4-pin cable, but do make sure underneath that foam, that channel cutout, it's laying in there nicely so it sits flush again. And you'll see on the bottom frame are those small rubber pads for the plate to sit on. That's where the plate gets sandwiched and mounted between the frames, hence gasket mount. And man, how many times have I said sandwich? Who's getting hungry? Then you just slide that top.
Me, Mr. P, I'm hungry. I want some chicken. I'm really
back
hungry.
On, flip her over, screw in those original 8 screws. And it'll take maybe like 10 minutes tops to do this. And then now with it being all white, the PCB as well, the RGB is gonna look nuts on chin because the polycarbonate plate is still gonna let a lot of that RGB.
Excuse me. The RGB is gonna...
And then now with it being all white, the PCB as well, the RGB is gonna look nuts on chin because the poly...
Did I just get these nuts? No. 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 Did I just get... Did you just get these nuts? No. 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 Reload. No.
This. And then now with it being all white, the PCB as well, the RGB is gonna look nuts on chin.
I've never heard that expression.
Because the polycarbonate plate is still going to let a lot of that RGB shine through, but it'll also like blend those colors together really, really nicely. We don't have time today to go over this entire full build for the white unit, so I'll probably save that for a third video coming up. All right,
Hey, you got the Water Kings. I've got a video of these coming up. These are, I think the name on the like the Everglide listing on the Chinese site is Water King V3s. Beyond the fact that they're like really smooth and they're pretty nice lineage, just stock, these look incredible in real life. And I've got like a all transparent type thing coming up. But yeah, these are really sick.
This entire full build for the white unit, so I'll probably save that for a third video coming up. All right, so now we'll do a sound test, roughly 45 seconds for each board. Again, for our black unit, we have the lubed Glorious Panda switches. And then for the white unit, I didn't show you fully, but we're gonna be using these brand new super linear Everglide Aqua King switches.
Thought it sounded a bit weird. Yeah. Yeah. Not for me, but yeah, that spacebar really... Yeah, man. It's that spacebar stabilizer especially that really lets it down. I just love, like, I don't know why I love these, but like, I am attracted so much to picture-on-picture transitions where it looks like nothing's changed, because I experiment with a lot of stuff where it appears, or actually no, a lot of stuff where me and Dave are in the same scene because he's a different person or not the same person as me. So I really appreciate when I see someone take the time, and Wildcat does it as well. Some of his intros are like, I'm just looking at it like, how did you... I can think about how you've done it, but like, this just looks... I like it, man. It's simple, like, it's underratedly simple, and if you've got a good enough setup and you can keep everything the same, it's not too bad, but like, I enjoy this stuff a lot. That's pretty sick.
Okay, so finally, into my 2 cents about the fully built
This man YouTubes. This man right here, this man YouTubes.
Glorious GMMK Pro keyboard. And keep in mind, for this, not everybody's going to have the same configuration, because when it comes to a bare bones kit like this, like I said before, you buy the switches, you buy the keycaps, so your final build is going to differ, but I'm taking...
Yeah, again, I'm interested to see in what you guys think of that sound. Like, again, grain of salt, obviously, given microphones and desks and YouTube compression and then your headphones and blah 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 blah. I don't know. I think it's okay. It's like some people will like it, some people won't. That's preference. I'm not gonna. For me to say I don't like it or I like it is almost irrelevant to you because I have my own set of preferences and you have yours, right? And so I know some people watched it, they don't like it. I know some people watched it, they do like it. Like, yeah, if you like it, right?
Taking, you know, the keyboard as a whole into consideration here for my thoughts and opinions. At the end of the day, whether you are using this for gaming, video editing, really whatever you're doing with this, I am super impressed. And honestly, it starts right out of the box with the actual frame itself. It's super hefty. Like I said, 3.3 pounds, built up just over 4 pounds. I primarily tested and gamed with my black unit that has those tactile Glorious Panda switches, and I've had no issues whatsoever. But again, you know, you don't have to use this for just gaming. That's the glory of a custom keyboard like this.
Yes, I know it's hard for you to imagine, but you can use a gaming keyboard for typing out essays. I know. Like, that's so big brain. Like, I've been chewing a lot of 5-gum, right? But I'm about to drop on you an even bigger bomb. You don't have to use a gaming PC to play games. Oh no, it's incredible. It's incredible. Like, man, I've been doing some very heavy thinking these days because, yeah, oh man, I can't even tell you the depths of big brainness it's taken for me to come to that conclusion.
And a keycap set.
Oh no, where were we? Oh, bro. Sorry, my philosophical expression just got in the way of our reaction. Let me go back.
Super affordable and way more than fair for this. You can compare this to the Satisfaction 75, which is a little more than double. That's over $400. This 170, it is just mind-blowing. I really can't see where Glorious is cutting corners here. Like,
I'm not gonna say what I was gonna say because I can't technically prove it, but yeah, like this is round one and it's not the finished product, but like this is what, $400 whatever dollars. Let me zoom out a little bit. This is $400 or whatever dollars. I know I said about price not being budget, but like comparatively, this is $170. I never expected it to be, and it doesn't because it's not an objective. It's not like, and I think it's another thing people getting into keyboards is looking at performance. It doesn't really make sense as a metric in terms of comparatively in ranking, because this doesn't, they all serve the same purpose as being keyboards, right? They type. This is what I said at the end of the PewDiePie keyboard. Like, it will do typing things for you. It will be a keyboard, but I don't feel like I'm getting 3 times value here. I know it doesn't make any sense as a metric, but don't look at this like, what am I trying to say here? What am I trying to say here? Yeah, don't look down on the GMMK Pro like it doesn't. I really don't know what I'm trying to say. What is it I'm trying to? Glarses, what are you trying to say here? You know what? I'm tired and I have course work to do.
the materials, it all
If I figure out what I'm trying to say, I'll tweet it out, and if you get it, you get it.
feels super premium and really nice. Definitely a hefty CNC aluminum block. It honestly blows my mind that they pulled this off for just $170. Another thing that's really cool is, yes, it's obviously compatible with their Glorious Core software, but it's also compatible if you use QMK or VIA, which are 2 very popular, open source softwares out there for when it comes to customizing your keyboard. So you have the option of either 3, whatever you're more comfortable with. But since the average consumer might just go towards Glorious Core, I'll show you that real quick. And it's visually very simple, all laid out for you. You have the key bindings tab, which will let you go in and reassign any of the keys to be, you know, macros and other functions. It's your typical, you know, reassigning key binding section here. But then again, also for that rotary knob, since you have 3 functions of turning it up, turning it down, and then pressing in as well to actuate, you can reassign whatever you want those 3 actions to be. Then for the lighting tab, under the presets, there are 18 different onboard RGB effects you can cycle between, both here in the software and actually on the keyboard itself.
Man, you gotta love RGB. Oof, oof. RGBs. I have my daily RGBs, and it keeps the doctor away. I do actually like RGB in some boards. Like, you look at like the Duck Eagle, those kind of boards, like the side RGB and like the actual perky. I think that looks sick. Like if you want to become my friend, if you're willing to sell me the specific duck boards I'm looking for at the right price in black, you know, don't DM me. Don't. But DM me.
So you have those onboard controls to cycle through the effects, and the RGB lighting is really, really nice here. Again, you can't really see it in the black and forest green unit, but with my white unit built up and that polycarbonate plate, it gets diffused so nicely, and the RGB just looks stellar. Effects are smooth and fluid, looks really good. Then you have the per key tab under lighting, which will let you go in and sort of make your own effect if you want to have per key lighting for different colors. This will also let you go in and customize the side strip on each side of the keyboards if you want that to glow a different color.
I always find it funny, and I see some people skip over it. I don't think anyone is really gone into detail in terms of the actual RGB, but I always find it funny when I think of like the perspective of somebody watching at home, like some kid who's just like waiting for the video, and he's just like scorpion eyes, like, I have to make sure it has the exact RGB profile I have, or I'm not buying the board. Like I always wonder if there's anyone who actually like sees a certain profile and goes, yes, it has the exact one I want. Now I can buy it, because I'm sure they're out there, but it's just find it funny.
Then your main keys or whatever, you have that all right here. Very, very customizable. And for performance, you can just go in and set the polling rate. So far, it's all been extremely positive, almost too good to be true. But there are 2 cons that I noticed and wanted to point out. First up, I kind of alluded to it earlier, with their GOAT stabilizers. Definitely heavy on the lube. I really had to break in my stabilizers to get them to like not stick or fully, you know, pop up after I would actuate them. So a lot of lube in the stabilizers. And second, again, this won't even apply to you if you're not using this keycap set, but with their GPBT, I did notice that on some of the keys, the font was just kind of, it didn't seem consistent all across. Like sometimes
the words you are looking for, my good Random Frank P, is trash. I'm joking. I don't want to be toxic like that, but yeah, they're not. It's not the actual font, like the type of font. It's not the color. Well, it kind of is, but it's not the colors or the font or like the mod choices. It's the actual consistency of how they've done that versus what they showed in the renders. It's not consistency. It's not consistently centered. Like you can see even in these pictures. Like, look at the J. You can see it's not. Compared to the other rows, you can see they're kind of floating like that. That's not a sign of... They're not very good.
Felt just slightly more bold. I didn't like how on some keys, like delete and print screen, it was the full width of the key. I do realize that's kind of common on most keycap sets, but here it was definitely too close to the edge for my liking in terms of, you know, that visual aesthetic. Now, I understand when it comes to a keycap set, the average gamer out there is probably going to want like some sort of shine-through keycap, so these probably won't be for you. If you want to throw on some pudding keycaps, I can only imagine it would look pretty crazy on these. But now,
no, the play is transparent keycap. Oh, that would look crazy, man. If you're about it, if you're about RGB, get some transparent keycaps. That would look mad.
Bringing it all together, what Glorious is doing for 170 is honestly remarkable. And we kind of saw this when they released the lightweight $50 Model O mouse, which completely shifted the entire trend of the lightweight gaming mouse market out there for the better. And since we've only had better products, lighter mice, and it's all because of Glorious. So with them putting out a fully customizable keyboard like this, a kit that you can add on to and fully build up for an extremely budget-friendly price of $170.
Again, budget is a word that both dictionary-wise, implies most commonly cheap or comparatively cheap, but also budget in terms of a constraint on the amount of money you have. I don't really think this is budget because, again, in the calculations I made, you probably will still end up paying for the whole build high 200s, low 300s. Like, you could probably get this for like 200, but I doubt most people who are getting this will have the know-how or the desire to do that. But it's still cheaper than, like, you know, waiting for a exact, like, for example, Section 75, like that's like 400 whatever. So
again, it might seem like a lot to you at first, but 170 for a custom keyboard like this is absolutely fantastic. I cannot be more impressed with what Glarses is doing here with the GMMK Pro and this like contender for one of the greatest keyboard kits at that price of all time. So like I said, I still have a giant unboxing video going over all the accessories. Trust me, I barely showed off, but yeah, tons of stuff to unbox and go over in that giant unboxing video. And again, if you're interested and you want to see the actual build video on this ice white unit, which looks super, super clean, love the custom.
I wish I got the silver one. I'm not calling it ice white, I refuse. I wish I got the silver one. I think that would have looked really nice.
Some keycaps here. And again, I have those crazy smooth and linear Everglide Aqua King switches. Those are insane. One of the smoothest switches I've ever tried so far. If you want to see that, let me know. But yeah, guys, that'll wrap it up for my review of the glorious GMMK Pro. Hope you all enjoyed. If you want to check it out, I'll try to put everything, all the stuff. I believe the batch 1 reservations are still going on. So if you want to pick this up, down below in the description for you guys. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up to show your support. Feel free to follow me on Twitter at randomfrankp. And lastly, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button.
Smash that like button.
Hope you all enjoyed. Have a good day.
I will have a good day. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Mr. Random Frank P. I will have a good day. And you should also have a good day. Right. Okay. I watched the video. Okay. I watched it. We got some pointers. We have a nice general idea of what the board is like. You've got lots of different perspectives from people who like different things. That's why I think... that's why I could never ever think there's one best reviewer. Because... And this is another thing that I think is very spurious. People think, oh, there are better or worse reviewers. I say no. First, it's very evident to me you've never tried to review anything. But second, people have their own biases as to what they bring out and what they thought was important in a review, and that will reflect what the review is like. So it's good to actually watch different reviewers. I will always watch and read and source out as many things so I can get different perspectives. Same for me. Like, I mean, okay, to be fair, like my review on this was perfect, but like besides that, do be sure to watch and see, because like we've seen, certain people have said different things. Like, no, Kairo-san, no, he didn't. That has to be a lie. No, you're lying. Kairo-san doesn't have a... Did I just get bamboozled? I did! He doesn't have a... You lied! You lied! Mods, find out who said it was and ban him! Right, okay. Let's summarize this because it's almost 8 and I'm hungry. Let me get my smooth jazz music like everybody else. Where's my smooth jazz music? Shut up about have you seen PewDiePie's review on it? Don't. By the way, I'm probably not going to do a review on it. I just can't be bothered. Whilst I'm finding this, I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. I hope I could add some kind of interesting or at least reliefful input into it. But where's my smooth jazz? Where's the smooth jazz that everybody has? Where are you, smooth jazz? Why are you avoiding me? Why are you running? Why? Oh, here it is. Okay. Right. Let's enjoy some of this. Right. So. It's upside down. Oops. I'm not going to summarize all the things I've said. I've already spoke about the stabilizers, the mounting implementation, the different plates, the fact that people might not actually get quote-unquote the most out of their board, and that it's not exactly budget, but you can buy it now, and I think that's underrated in terms of it being in stock, and hopefully perpetually in stock. So, should you buy the GMMK Pro? It's okay. Like, I think it's kind of boring. I think they could have been a little more less markety and more, let's think about how we can make this, I don't want to say good, but let's think about how we can properly implement some of these things like our stabilizers and mounting plate. But I'm very hopeful that in later iterations they will take back the feedback they've seen and continue to make something accessible, relatively cheap, and hopefully in stock. Yeah, it's alright. That the conclusion to our 2-hour stream is, or 3-hour stream is, yeah, it's alright. I'm not going to tell you to buy it. I'm not going to tell you to buy anything. I think that keyboards are a massive waste of money, and we should all return to, almost said return to monkey, we should all return to our £5 rubber domes. But yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Right. Let's answer some, like, 1 or 2 questions before I go, because that'd be mean. I said I would do it. Right. What questions do we have? What questions do we have? Return to monkey. Yeah. Let's see what questions we've got. My goodness, I have a lot of DMs. Jeez. Oh. Ooh. Okay, maybe maybe we will be getting a duck eagle. Alright, Mr. Ponker has slid into my DMs and skipped the line. Do I think there's aftermarket solutions that would make the GMMK Pro feel more like how I'd want it? Yeah, sure. Like I've already said, doing the basic stuff like taking out all of the screws, case foam, PCB foam, maybe getting aftermarket stabilizers. Something I'm going to experiment with. I might not report it back, but I will be cutting off the 2 side gaskets so that it's just the top and bottom that the plate and PCB are resting on. I want to see if that makes a big enough difference. But let's see. Anything else? Any other really good questions before I go and do my coursework? Flex cuts on the plate. Yeah, but I would prefer to. I would just prefer to have a half plate option, but that's pretty much out of the question with what do you call it, with so actually no, that answers 2 questions. Yeah, I'd like to have a solderable PCB. I like that option. It might be coming. But yeah, we can't have a half plate with just hot swap only. So that's kind of where I am right now. Where my corn at? You will get your corn soon, Fraser. Don't worry. KBD67 Lite or NK65 entry. I don't have a 6.7 Lite, so I can't speak from experience. But even saying that, I don't want to recommend, and I can't really make a good comparison when I've had one and not the other. But like, I would probably buy the 6.7 Lite. I'm not gonna lie. What do you think of Skyloom SKs and GKs? They're great if you can get them at a good price. There's been a lot of people. I remember when I was trying to buy these, they were like 30, 40 bucks. I've seen them go like 60, 70, 80. Don't buy them on Amazon. Buy them on like AliExpress or somewhere. But yeah, they're fine. Like, this is basically a reskinned GK61 in ISO, because ISO can. But yeah, like, stock stabilizers are lubed. Probably lube it again and make it a bit better, and they are plate mount. But like, Gateron yellows, decent PBT shine through keycaps. Like, this is an MZ60, by the way. It's, yeah, great start. Honestly, one of my favorite sounding boards was actually a GK61 that I like heavily modded. But like, you will get them to sound how you want. But obviously, I did a lot. Like, I cut the middle standoffs, did some stupid tomfoolery to it. Are those Linus Tech Tip headphones? I don't know. Is GMK white on black worth the money, or should I just get Enjoy PBT white on black? Enjoy PBT white on black is the satisfactory ABS. I love that Enjoy PBT have an ABS line, and I can't not call it satisfactory ABS. It's okay. I think because it's not really that cheap, I would probably just get GMK white on black if you can. That for me is like a staple keycap set. Thoughts on Alice style cases? I love Alice. Alice is one of my favorite layouts. My Alice is kind of in disrepair right now, but like, I love the layout. If you can get your hands on one for cheap, like, I don't like seeing acrylic cases for like $200. It kind of blows my mind. But yeah, Alice is lit. Have I tried dragon fruits? I have. They're quite smooth and they're ergo clear like, but they have a weird ticking that I can't get rid of. I have not tried Kelbox Ancient Greys. Do I like Glorious Pandas? Yeah, they're actually probably my favorite like panda style switch. But you do have to you got to give them a bit of love before some of that ticking will go away. Definitely get some aftermarket springs and see what you can do with lube. I like tangerines. Yep. Should I buy the GMMK Pro? If you feel like the reviews and the evidence they've given to it convict you to buy it, then buy it. Yeah. I have tried boba gums. I don't really like them. They're quiet, but the bottom out is too soft. I prefer silent switches where the dampening rubber is a bit denser. I don't like a really soft bottom out. What board am I currently typing on? The F18X. Have you tried Duroc L2 linears? Yes, they are the same as your V1 Duroc linears, like your alpacas and whatnot. They're fine. It's great, smooth. Right, let me see. One more good question. Have I tried U4Ts? I have. I won't get them now, but yeah, U4Ts are interesting. Great tolerances as far as the housing goes. I don't think I'll need to film those, but yeah, I could. Those are decent. I might not do a review. I will review U4s as my next switch. It won't be my next video. It might be the video after that or the one after that, but those are coming. Budget tenkulous cases. There are, but not enough that I would recommend them, and I'd kind of have to pull up my document with all my bits and bobs. But tenkulous is probably the one kit that's not really being covered well in terms of availability and or budget stuff. The NK87 is coming out, but that's $270. Like, you'll be able to get it, sure, but it's a lot of money. Right. I want some chicken nuggets and to sit down on my bed. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming out to this impromptu and very scuffed GMMK Pro stream. Actually, no, to be fair, this is one of my better streams. If you're a long-time Glarses supporter, you'll know that the streams don't usually go off like this. But yeah, subscribe if you're new. If you like what I do, like my video. Yeah, hope you guys have a very good evening. Thank you very much once again for coming to the stream. And yeah, peace. Actually, no, that's not what I say. I say thanks. I say K, thanks.